Scifi Station floated quietly at the edge of the Milky Way, far from any known planet. It was a giant metal ring spinning slowly in the dark, lit by blinking lights and glowing signs in hundreds of alien languages. Built by over 20 different species, the station was a place for trade, rest, and strange stories. Everyone came here: traders, explorers, scientists, and those who had something to hide. One day, something new arrived, something no one expected. A human spaceship. It wasn't big or shiny. In fact, it looked like a flying box with engines stuck to the back. But it came in fast, without asking for permission, and landed smoothly on Dock 6 like it had done it 100 times before. From the ship came a team of humans. The leader was a tall woman in a dark jacket with orange stripes. Her name was Captain Mara Voss. She wore a calm smile and walked like she owned the place, even though it was her first time there. Behind her followed her crew, a tall, quiet engineer named Juno, a cheerful pilot called Rex, and a very large robot. The robot was not shaped like a person. It was long and armored, with a huge drill at the front and legs like tank treads. It looked like a machine that could eat a mountain. The humans called it Sandstrider, but among themselves they had a nickname, Mini Shai Hulud, after an old story from Earth about giant worms that ruled deserts. The moment they arrived, the station's regulars began to whisper. Who are they? Why is that machine growling? Is that thing alive? A small creature with soft fur and 4 eyes peeked from behind a supply crate. His name was Twilsk, and he belonged to the Nivari species, curious, peaceful beings who loved shiny tools and warm drinks. Twilsk was fascinated by everything, but most of all, by humans. He waddled closer, eyes fixed on Sandstrider's drill, which was spinning slowly in the air. The robot stood quietly like a loyal pet. It hummed every few seconds, releasing little puffs of heat from its side vents. Twilsk gasped. It looks huge. Can I touch this thing? Captain Voss smiled. You can touch the outer shell, just don't press any buttons. Twilsk nodded quickly and reached out a paw. The metal was warm and smooth. He tapped it twice and giggled. This is wonderful. Does it eat rocks? Rex laughed. Yeah, and sometimes it burps molten glass. Really? Twilsk's eyes grew wider. No, Juno replied dryly. That part was a joke. As the humans walked through the market, more aliens gathered around, whispering and watching. Most species had never seen a human in person. They had heard about Earth joining. The galactic conquered, but few believe. Why does it have those big claws? To dig through planets, Rex explained. And this pipe? Shoots out a foam that turns lava into rock. Can it fight? Only if something fights first, Mara said. It's made for building, not war. But it looks like a monster, Twilsk whispered. It's a friendly one, she replied. Just don't wake it up too early. Suddenly, Sandstrider's sensors beeped. It sniffed the ground. Figuratively, of course. A soft rumble came from its drill. Then, without warning, it started to dig. Whoa! Whoa! No! Mara ran to it. Bad worm! Stop that! But it was too late. The drill had already broken through the floor panel. Steam hissed up as Sandstrider tried to burrow through the metal. Juno grabbed a control pad. Shutting it down! The robot froze. A moment later, alarms began to flash across the station. Engineers rushed to the scene. Someone yelled about structural damage. Mara raised her hands and smiled. Don't worry, it's just excited. The aliens stared at her in shock. Twilsk whispered, Is it alive? No, Mara said. But it sure acts like it. And so the legend began. The floor of Dock 6 had a hole the size of a small car. Around it stood a group of very confused engineers, a worried alien supervisor, and one calm human, Captain Mara Voss. Sandstrider, the massive drilling robot, stood proudly next to the mess it had made. Its large drill was now quiet but still warm. It gave off small clicks like it was happy with its work. This is not good, said Supervisor Glynn, a 3-armed lizard-like alien. His scales changed color from green to red with stress. This Area holds power cables and data lines. The whole docking grid might go down. Juno, the quiet human engineer, walked up holding a scanner. No power loss yet. Just a broken support beam and some hot wiring. We can fix it. You mean you broke it? Glynn snapped. Mara raised her hands. Yes, and we'll repair it, free of charge. We didn't mean for Sandstrider to start digging. It just got a little curious. Machines don't get curious, Glynn said. Ours sometimes do, Rex said, still trying not to laugh. By now, a small crowd of aliens had gathered around the dock, watching from behind safety barriers. Among them, Twilsk stood with glowing eyes and a wide grin. They said it's not alive, he whispered. But look how it acts, like a pet or a baby mountain beast. A tall purple alien beside him said, That's no pet. That's a siege weapon. Whispers grew louder. Rumors spread quickly on Zenthari Station. Some said the humans had brought a war machine. Others said it was a living creature shaped like a drill. A few claimed it was the child of a star dragon. Inside the command center, the station leaders were watching closely. We cannot allow this kind of danger, said one. But they don't seem aggressive, said another. They landed with no permission, a third reminded. And now they've drilled into our floor. Station Master Trockthil kept his eyes on the screen. Yes, but look how they handle it. No panic, no threats, just strange calm. He tapped one claw on the desk and gave the order. Bring them in. Let them explain. An hour later, Mara and her team were sitting inside the main conference room of Zenthari Station. Across from them sat a group of high-ranking officials from 6 different species. The room was quiet until one alien asked the first question. Captain Voss, is that machine of yours alive? Mara blinked. No, it's just highly responsive to terrain data. It has adaptive programming, it learns while it digs. But it dug into our station, someone said. Why? A small flat round snack, Rex explained, holding one up. On Earth, dogs love them. Your robot eats food? Asked another official, alarmed. No, Mara laughed. It's just a joke between our team. The biscuit is actually a signal chip we use to activate its main drive. Someone must have dropped one into its port. So it was an accident? A very human accident, Mara admitted. We're sorry. We'll fix the damage. The officials stared at them, then whispered among themselves. Finally, Trockthil leaned forward. Tell me about this. Mini Shai Hulud, Mara chuckled. That's just a nickname. From an old story on Earth. In it, giant sandworms ruled deserts. This machine reminded us of those. Big, powerful, and able to dig through anything. Twilsk, who had followed quietly behind the meeting room glass, gasped with delight. I knew it. A sand god. Mara looked back at him and smiled. More like a very eager shovel with legs. The meeting ended with a warning. No more unplanned digging. The humans agreed. In return, they offered to share Sandstrider's design with the station engineers to prevent future surprises. Twilsk walked alongside the humans as they returned to their ship. You build machines that act like living things, and you laugh when they cause trouble. We also fix what we break, Mara said. That's the human way. But why give it a name? Why not just call it Drilling Robot Number 2 or something? Because naming things gives them meaning, Rex said. We treat our tools like teammates. Twilsk looked at Sandstrider again. Its drill was still glowing faintly. Then I think it's more than a machine. Sandstrider let out a small, mechanical purr. Rex looked down. Did it just make a noise? Juno frowned. It's not supposed to. The humans stared at each other for a moment. Then Mara said with a smile, well, maybe it's learning more than just digging. To be continued in Part 3, a weapon or a friend. 2 days had passed since the Sandstrider incident on Zenthari Station, but the talk hadn't stopped. In every corner of the market, inside the cafe domes, even near the coolant vents, aliens were still whispering about the humans and their strange machine. Some believed it was a helpful builder. Others were sure it was a hidden weapon. A few even thought it was alive. Inside the main observation deck, a group of scholars from the planet Velkari gathered around a hologram of Sandstrider. The projection showed its large drill, thick armor, and heat-resistant legs. One of them tapped the screen. "This design is not for building. Look at the armor, that is battle grade." Another replied, "It has no visible weapons." "But what if the drill is the weapon?" the first scholar said. "It could break through ship hulls like butter." At the same time, Captain Mara Voss was in Dock 6, sitting on a crate, sipping a warm mug of tea. Twilsk sat beside her, legs dangling. "Everyone's talking about Sandstrider," Twilsk said. "Some are scared, some are amazed." Mara nodded. "That's how it usually goes. New things make people nervous. But it's not dangerous, is it?" Mara looked at the big machine standing silently near the wall. Its metal surface had been cleaned, and a few glowing lights blinked gently. "It's not meant to harm anyone. It digs, explores, and builds." Twilsk tilted his head. "But it broke the floor. It made a mistake, same as people do sometimes." Just then, Juno and Rex walked over. Juno had a small scanner in hand and a puzzled look on his face. "Mara," he said, "you need to see this." "Another digger," Mara whispered. That's why it got excited. Suddenly, a loud chime rang out across the dock. A small hovering drone flew in and delivered a message to Mara. She tapped the screen. "You are Reku. Ested at the Galactic Council Hall," she read. "They want answers. Now." The council hall was a large round chamber filled with glowing chairs and high crystal screens. Representatives from over 10 species were present. The room was quiet when the humans entered. Krakthil, the station master, stood at the center. "Captain Voss," he began, "you were asked here because of growing concerns. Some believe your machine is a threat." Mara stepped forward calmly. "It's not a weapon. We use it to terraform planets, make dead worlds livable." "And yet it damaged our station," said a sharp-voiced elder. "Yes," Mara admitted. "It made a mistake. But we now believe it responded to a signal. Something below your station, something alive." The council murmured. Krakthil raised one claw. "What kind of signal?" Juno stepped up and connected his scanner to the council's main screen. "These are the vibrations, strong, rhythmic, and deep, not natural. We believe there is a large creature beneath your crust, possibly hibernating." A long silence followed. Then a representative from the Yalari species stood. "You mean to say your machine detected something none of our systems found?" "It's trained for underground mapping," Mara said. "On Earth we have machines like this working on dangerous planets. It senses what others miss." A second alien, from the crystal-skinned Relka, leaned forward. "And it tried to talk to it?" Rex grinned. "Well, we didn't tell it to, but maybe it wanted to." More whispers followed. "They think it's alive. It responds to feelings? A digging machine with a heart?" Mara raised her voice, not to shout, but to speak clearly. "We didn't come here to cause fear. We came to explore, to share, and maybe to help." Krakthil looked at her for a long moment, then said, "And if something is beneath us, what would you do?" Mara smiled slightly. "Dig carefully, talk softly, make a friend." That night, back in their ship, the human crew reviewed the signal again. It was clearer now. A steady thump, like a heartbeat. Or breathing. Twilsk joined them with a datapad full of notes. "I asked the archive librarians," he said. "There are old legends. A great being under the moon rock. It sleeps in dreams. But when it wakes, the stars will tremble." Mara looked at Sandstrider. The robot's lights blinked slowly. Maybe it had woken something up, and maybe, just maybe, it understood it. Centauri Station looked peaceful from the outside, but under the surface, deep below its metal floors and quiet chambers, something ancient was stirring. In the command center, warning lights flashed softly. Tremors had begun again, tiny ones at first, but now stronger. The walls of Dock 6 had started to vibrate every few hours, and station systems were picking up strange energy signals from below. Juno looked serious. To the thing underground. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shook harder than before. A loud crack echoed through the hallway. Pipes rattled and one of the lights flickered. Mara turned quickly. That wasn't just a tremor. That was a response. Station alarms began to wail. Over the intercom, a robotic voice spoke. Warning, structural integrity compromised in lower sector 3B. Evacuate non-essential personnel. Twilsk's fur bristled. That's near the central support pillar. If that falls, this whole station could collapse, Juno warned. Mara made a quick decision. We need to go down, take Sandstrider, find out what's happening and stop it. But the council, Rex began. They'll argue all day, Mara said. We don't have that long. Getting clearance to descend was difficult, but Mara convinced the engineers by sharing her data. She promised to go with a small team, fully tracked, with live video for station monitors. Sandstrider rolled forward, its drill gleaming and sensors glowing blue. A cargo lift took the team, Mara, Juno, Rex, Twilsk, and the machine, down into the lower maintenance levels, which were rarely visited. As they moved deeper, the walls became colder and darker. Dust floated in the air. Pipes hissed quietly and power cables dangled like vines. Feels like a tomb, Rex muttered. Twilsk shivered, or a belly of something very big. At last they reached a sealed access gate. Sandstrider scanned it, then began to drill slowly, carefully. No damage, just a clean tunnel forward. After 10 minutes, they broke through into a large natural cavern, hidden under the station. It was filled with glowing crystals and strange vine-like roots that pulsed with faint light. Then they saw it, a massive shape, curled like a sleeping snake. Its body was covered in rocky plates, and its size was impossible to guess. Only part of it was visible, but the air trembled around it. It was alive. Twilsk gasped. It's real. The earth serpent. Sandstrider moved closer, making soft mechanical sounds. The creature stirred slightly. One giant glowing eye slowly opened. Mara stepped forward, heart pounding. We come in peace, she said quietly, not sure if it could hear her. The earth serpent let out a low hum that shook the walls. Not anger, something deeper. Sadness, confusion. Juno whispered, I think it's been asleep for too long. Alone. Sandstrider's drill moved forward slightly. It emitted a gentle tone, a signal wave. The serpent blinked, then responded with a pulse of its own. They're talking, Twilsk breathed. Not in words, in rhythms. Suddenly, part of the cave ceiling cracked. Rocks fell. A large support beam split in two. Alarms beeped on Juno's scanner. The tremors are causing a collapse, he shouted. We have to stop this, Mara said. She turned to Sandstrider. Can you lead it out? Show it a path to safety? Sandstrider beeped once. Then it rolled forward, deeper into the cavern, releasing sonar pulses as it went. The earth serpent shifted its body and followed slowly but surely. The ground shook, but this time with control. It's listening, Rex said, stunned. It trusts the machine. Mara watched as Sandstrider guided the creature toward a stable passage. One that led away from the station's core. Twilsk turned to Mara with wide eyes. Your machine, and it's not just a tool, it's a bridge. Mara smiled softly. Sometimes all it takes to make peace is someone willing to dig the way. But it was listening, and it was following. Captain Mara Voss led the small team through narrow tunnels, her boots crunching over crystal dust. Juno, the quiet engineer, scanned the area for danger. Rex, the pilot, carried emergency tools and a portable light. And beside them waddled Twilsk, the curious alien who had become their unexpected friend. Ahead of them rolled Sandstrider, slowly digging a smooth path. Its lights blinked in a soft pattern, on, off, short pulse, long pulse, a rhythm, A language. Behind. Them. The earth serpent followed. Its massive body slithered gently through the cavern. It didn't roar. It didn't growl. It simply moved with deep sounds that echoed like distant thunder. Rex looked back. It's still behind us. Mara nodded. Good. That means it trusts us. Twilsk stared at the creature with wide eyes. It's not angry. Just lost. Juno studied his scanner. I think it was trapped down here long ago, maybe during the Sky Wars. The station was built above it without anyone knowing. Mara spoke quietly. And now it wants out. We'll give it that. They moved deeper into the earth. The air was hot and thick, and the walls glowed with strange crystals. The deeper they went, the older everything felt. Like time had forgotten this place. They reached a large chamber filled with glowing stones and underground steam vents. The ceiling was high but cracked. One wrong move and it could fall. Juno paused. We need to be careful here. The ground is unstable. Sandstrider stopped at the edge and scanned the area. It beeped once, then started to dig a side path. Slower, this time more carefully. Twilsk tapped his datapad. According to the station's old maps, there's a tunnel ahead that leads out of the moon rock and into open space. A lava tube from long ago. Mara's eyes lit up. If we can guide the earth serpent there, it can escape without hurting anyone. But just then, the ceiling above them groaned. Crack. A giant piece of rock broke loose and came crashing down. Look, out, Rex shouted. They all jumped aside. Dust and rock exploded across the chamber. The earth serpent stopped moving. It made a loud, low sound, half warning, half fear. It's scared, Twilsk said. Mara coughed through the dust. Juno, is Sandstrider still operational? Juno checked his device. Still digging, it's trying to clear a new path. The serpent hissed, then moved closer to Sandstrider, but the falling rocks had blocked part of the tunnel. We need to help it, Mara said. It won't get through unless we clear the way. Twilsk looked nervous. But the ceiling, what if more falls? Mara smiled at him. Then we better work fast. The team grabbed their tools and started breaking smaller rocks apart, tossing them aside. Sandstrider extended small arms to help. It moved like a living creature, focused, smooth, determined. The earth serpent watched silently. After 20 long minutes, the path was clear again. Sandstrider beeped twice and rolled forward, sending a signal. The earth serpent waited a moment, then followed. Carefully, slowly. As it moved past the humans, its massive eye turned and looked directly at Mara. She stood still, not moving, not afraid. Then it let out a soft sound, like a deep sigh. Twilsk whispered. I think that was a thank you. They continued down the tunnel until they reached the edge of the ancient lava tube. It was huge and hollow, leading far out toward the moon's surface. A perfect exit. Mara turned on her comms. This is Captain Voss. We've reached the outer tunnel. The creature is calm. Repeat, calm. Krakthil's voice came through, crackly but clear. Understood, Captain. We are watching the signal. And, thank you. Juno checked his readings. The rock ahead is thin. If we drill carefully, we can eke open a path to the surface. Mara looked at Sandstrider. Well, buddy, this is your big moment. Sandstrider's lights blinked. Then it moved to the front of the tunnel and started to dig. The sound was deep and steady. The earth serpent stayed behind it, silent and patient. After a long while, light began to pour in from ahead. Natural light. Starlight. We've done it, Rex said. We're at the edge. The earth serpent raised its head, feeling the open space. It let out one final sound. A loud, beautiful vibration that shook the tunnel gently, like music. Then it moved forward, faster now, disappearing into the darkness. Beyond, gone, free. The humans and Twilsk stood silently. Mara smiled. We just helped an ancient creature escape. And all it took was a metal worm with a big heart. Twilsk grinned. I can't wait to tell this story. The earth serpent was gone. It had followed Sandstrider through the ancient lava tube and disappeared into the dark vacuum beyond the moon rock. For the first time in centuries, the tunnels beneath Zenthari Station were silent. Captain Mara Voss stood near the tunnel's edge, staring into the empty space where the creature had vanished. Her team, Juno, Rex, and Twilsk, stood quietly. Beside her, Twilsk broke the silence. Do you think it will be all right out there? Mara nodded. It didn't belong under our feet. Now it's free. Maybe it'll find a new home. Juno checked his scanner. There's an uninhabited planet just 2 systems away. All desert, perfect for a creature like that. Rex gave a half smile. Maybe it'll start its own kingdom of giant worms. Twilsk's eyes lit up. Or become a legend in real time. As they began their walk back up the tunnel, the weight of what had happened finally hit them. They hadn't just stopped a disaster. They had helped a creature that most people thought was a myth. But the job wasn't over yet. Back on Zenthari Station, a full council meeting was already in session. Holograms of many species flickered around the circular hall. All eyes were on the humans. Trakthil stood up as the human team entered. Captain Voss, he said, the station owes you something more than thanks. You did not just protect us. You gave that creature a second chance. Mara gave a respectful nod. We only did what we thought was right. One of the council members leaned forward. But how? How did you control the beast? We've never seen anything like that. Mara smiled. We didn't control it. We understood it. That's the human way. The Relkan diplomat blinked. With all respect, you brought a machine that almost broke our station. Rex grinned. And then saved it. Twilsk stepped forward, holding his datapad. It wasn't just a machine, it became a voice, a guide, a friend. Some council members still looked unsure. Then Juno spoke. We believe the creature was intelligent. Not like us, not with words, but with emotion. It was trapped, confused, afraid. It responded to rhythm and sound. Sandstrider used sonar signals like music, that's how we communicated. Trakthil tapped his claws together thoughtfully. So you used your machine as a translator? In a way, yes, Juno replied. But how did you know it would work? Asked a council member. Mara shrugged. We didn't. We took a chance. Sometimes humans do that. We trust our instincts. There was silence for a few seconds. Then Trakthil spoke again. It seems humans don't just build machines. You give them personality, meaning. Rex laughed. It's easier to work with a machine when you treat it like a partner, the council murmured among themselves. Then an elder rose. So what happens now? What do we tell the galaxy? That a creature once buried has escaped? Mara stepped forward. You tell them the truth that old legends sometimes live, that we found one, and we let it go. Twilsk added, and that humans helped, not with lasers, not with war, but with a big-hearted metal friend and a little courage. Trakthil nodded. The story will spread. It already has. You've made more than peace, Captain. You've made a legend. Later, back in Dock 6, the team gathered around Sandstrider. Its metal surface was scratched and dusty, but its lights blinked calmly. Juno patted it gently. You did well. Mara smiled. You helped make peace with a creature older than our species. Twilsk sat cross-legged, scribbling in his datapad. This will go into the station's history records, and maybe the Galactic Library. Rex looked thoughtful. You know, we can't just leave things like this. That planet nearby, the one Juno mentioned, it's empty. Mara raised an eyebrow. You're thinking what I'm thinking? Rex nodded. We build something, a safe zone, a new home for creatures like the Earth Serpent. Who knows what else is out there? Juno added. We can use terraforming drones. Slow work, but worth it. Twilsk jumped up. You mean, build a sanctuary? A planet for forgotten giants? Mara nodded slowly. The human solution, not just to fight or explore, but to build where others see danger. She looked at Sandstrider. Let's do it. The sun rose slowly over the dusty plains of the new planet, its light casting long shadows across the freshly dug tunnels and soft hills shaped by Sandstrider's steady work. The human outpost, Haven Below, was no longer just a collection of tents and machines. It had become a home, a place where old legends could find new life. Captain Mara Voss stood at the edge of the outpost, watching the horizon. The dry wind carried scents of warm stone and wild plants beginning to grow. She thought about the journey that had started months ago at Zenthari Station, the unexpected meeting with the ancient creature beneath the moon rock, and the surprising friendship that had formed between humans, aliens, and a metal giant with a heart. Behind her, Juno was busy calibrating the terraforming drones, while Rex supervised a team assembling habitat modules. Twilsk, the ever-curious Nivari, was writing furiously in his datapad, recording every moment of the great adventure. Suddenly, Twilsk called out, "Captain, you need to see this." Mara walked over quickly. Twilsk pointed at a large screen connected to one of the outpost's remote sensors. The screen showed a faint, massive shape moving slowly just beyond the sensor range, a shadow against the rocky desert. "It's the Earth Serpent," Twilsk said, eyes shining. Mara smiled. "Looks like it's found the place we built for it." The crew gathered around, watching as the shadow slid through the rocky canyons and deep ravines. The Earth Serpent was free. It was alive, and it was home. Back at Zenthari Station, the story of the Earth Serpent's escape and the human's strange machine had become legend. Traders told tales of the metal worm that spoke to monsters beneath worlds, and children played games imagining giant creatures and fearless explorers. Trakthil, the wise station master, sat quietly in his office watching the news feeds. "Humans are unpredictable," he said to a visiting diplomat. "But they bring hope," the diplomat replied. "Indeed," Trakthil said with a slow nod. "Hope, wrapped in strange packages." At Haven Below, life was changing. The terraforming drones had made the desert bloom slowly. Small plants pushed through the dry soil, and tiny streams of water appeared. The habitat modules provided shelter for humans and any other species who wished to join this new world. Mara knew this was only the beginning. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the sky, the team gathered around a small fire pit. They shared stories and laughter, their faces glowing in the soft light. Twilsk stood up, clearing his throat. "I have a story to tell." He began to retell the tale of how humans had come to the edge of the galaxy, how their strange machine, Mini Shai, Hulud, had dug too deep, and how they found the Earth Serpent, the ancient guardian beneath Zenthari Station. With dramatic flair, he described the tremors, the cave-in, and the great escape through the lava tube. The crew listened, captivated. "And the humans?" Twilsk said with a grin. "They didn't fight, they didn't shoot lasers. They talked with a machine, they made friends where others saw monsters." Mara laughed. "That's one way to put it." Rex added, "We just don't like boring days." Word of their success spread through the galactic concord. Scientists, explorers, and diplomats came to see Haven Below. Some brought their own machines. Others brought stories of other forgotten creatures. Mara and her team worked with them all, sharing knowledge, technology, and hope. The outpost grew into a center of peace and discovery, a place where the lost could find safety, and the unknown could become known. One day, as Mara walked the edge of the outpost, she heard a distant rumble. She looked up at the stars and smiled. Somewhere far beyond the moon rock and desert plains, the Earth Serpent was still moving, free and strong, and humanity, with its strange machines and brave hearts, had helped make it so. Back on Zenthari Station, a new saying began to spread. When humans come with their metal worms and open hearts, even the oldest legends can begin again.